of the famous Oriental Rabbanim of yesteryear. And here we're coming in to the 27th of Sivan. Naturally, in Hebrew, we call that Chav Zayin Sivan. It's a hilula of a really great, great rabbi, Rabbi Raphael Yosef ben Robi Z'tl Liv Racha. He was a great dayan, a judge in Jerusalem also, and was a contemporary of famous other rabbis, including the famous Chida, who's spoken about also before, and also Rabbi El Ghazi, also another great rabbi who we've also spoken about before. He happened to be actually a Rishon LeZion, and I think the Rosh Yeshiva of the famous Yeshivat Bet El, respectively. So he was actually born, it actually came from a very, very great heritage. His father was a great rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda ibn Robi, who was a rabbi of Jerusalem during the Chacham's time itself. It's actually interesting that he was part of the great rabbanim from Jerusalem in that specific period. He was working b'shimosh, training to be a dayan, and then became a dayan also as part of the high court of the famous Maharit al-Ghazi, also who was, as I stated before, the Rishon LeZion and Rosh Yeshiva of the famous Yeshivat Bet El in Jerusalem. A yeshiva we've actually spoken about in a separate video also before. And it's actually interesting that he actually wrote great work. His actually name himself appears among the names of rabbis who signed up with regards to different famous books published during his time. It's actually at one stage in time he traveled around Western Europe as in travels, working as a doctor, and other different missions over there, and returned to Jerusalem shortly afterwards. It's actually interesting. He would later on pass away in the year 1795. He was buried in the famous Keber Har HaZeitim, the Mount of Olives, in 1795. So we're talking about right at the end of the 18th century. His book was called Derech HaMelech, a very, very famous work, which is a perush, a deep perush on the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam also. And it's actually interesting. It was a lot of it was this specific book itself, I think, deals with the laws of vows, Nedarim. Also, we talked about that in a series in Masechet Nedarim, which he did in the Daf Yomi. So he spoke. A lot of the book was that. The book was, I think, first printed in Livorno. I believe in English is 1766, in towards late 18th century, and was reprinted again also. I think it might have been different editions were printed in Brooklyn and in Ashdod, respectively, at later times. I think there was a project called the Shorts Project, and his commentaries of the Maimonides was actually included of that. That was it was a computerized database of Torah, of Jewish writings and halachic, various different halachic writings inside the Shut. I think it's very much featured inside that. It's got the approval of the famous great Rabbi Al-Ghazi also. And at the end, there is a specific letter from the Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulay, in which he makes actually a comment on the book and writes about his approval within regards to the book. Remember, the Chida was one of the great rabbis who've spoken about many times. Over here. That's what he actually writes within regards to the book. It gave you like a huge approval within regards to that. And it's actually interesting. Yeah, so he just gave really a big thing. There was also, he himself wrote approvals of various books. This was a time period during the 17th, 18th, 19th century of some of the greatest books that have been compiled in Jewish history, and wrote approvals for books, including the book called, that I say it in English, Eyes of Abraham, which was from Rabbi Abraham Tzipig, who was a great rabbi born actually in Tunis, a famous Tunisian rabbi, which this book actually dealt with the laws of korbanot, sacrifices, I think in the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam itself. It's actually called the Einei Abraham also, to be precise. And it is Yartzeit here on Chav Zayin Sivan, 27th of Sivan. I think someone else has said it was maybe Chav Vav Sivan, but this where I found out he was buried in Har HaZeitim, which we related before, passed away in the year 1795. Please, everyone, don't forget to light candles in the great rabbi's memory. And please watch over the previous videos we've covered in the series. We've covered around 265 famous rabbis from yesteryear, one of the few places relating the stories of the great biographies of the great tzaddikim of yesteryear in English. And please don't forget to share, like, and light candles in the memory of the great Chacham. Wishing you all a fantastic day.